Hello, I'm Bobby Lee, and this is the Bobby Lee Show. And today we have with us a very special guest. His name is Eustace Mullins. We have this book that Eustace Mullins wrote. It's called Murder by Injection, the story of the American medical conspiracy against America, against you and I. So it's Murder by Injection. Eustace Mullins, we're happy to have you with us today. Tell us a little bit about how did you come to write this book, Murder by Injection?
Well, I had been working for almost a half a century on the various monopolies, the legal monopoly, the banking monopoly, the secret government monopoly of the world. And I realized that all of these monopolies interacted, and about the same group of elitists, the world order people, were in each one. But I had not paid much attention to the medical profession. I thought, well, these are doctors who are curing people. They work in the hospital long hours, you know, and they're probably a public asset. And I thought that simply because I hadn't had any contact with them, fortunately for me. And other people who have had contact with them had a different view. Either they were furious, or they were disgusted, or they were dead. And so this was the status of the people who employed the medical profession in the United States, the average American citizen. And the doctors, during this period, as part of the drug trust and the medical monopoly, had various instruments furnished to them by the other monopolies. For instance, the oil monopoly of John D. Rockefeller at Standard Oil had gone into the petrochemical business, and through extensive research they had developed certain medications which they called wonder drugs, and the public, as they took these drugs, they would wonder what was going to happen to them. That's why they were wonder drugs. Others were called miracle drugs. They were called miracle drugs because if you took them and you survived, it was really a miracle. So this was the contribution of the monopolists to the medical monopoly. And the only thing that these drugs had in common was that they were enormously expensive. Now, in contrast, most of nature's remedies are enormously inexpensive. They're available, they're abundant, they're cheap, which means that the medical monopoly did not want you to use any of these medications. They wanted the greatest achievement of the modern drug trust was the invention of the $1,000 pill. They have now they have one pill which costs $1,000, which you use in cancer and various things. And nature, unfortunately, has never learned how to make a $1,000 pill. So obviously, nature is no good as far as the medical monopoly is concerned.
The world of medicine has seen its share of miracle cures, from the polio vaccine to heart transplants, but all past achievements may pale in comparison to the work of Dr. Alice Crippen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Not at all.
So, Dr. Crippen, give it to me in a nutshell.
Well, the premise is quite simple. Take something designed by nature and reprogram it to make it work for the body rather than against it.
You're talking about a virus?
Indeed, yes, in this case the measles virus, which has been engineered at a genetic level to be helpful rather than harmful. And I find the best way to describe it is if you can imagine your body as a highway and you picture the virus as a very fast car being driven by a very bad man, imagine the damage that car could cause. But then if you replace that man with a cop, the picture changes, and that's essentially what we've done.
How many people have you treated so far?
Well, we've had 10,009 clinical trials in humans so far.
And how many are cancer-free?
10,009.
So you have actually cured cancer?
Yes, yes. Yes, we have.
Hey, shalom, brothers. I'd like to say, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah, and this is Elder Tazadakba, GMS, and in the wake of this recent Ebola outbreak and the different stories that's out there in the news and the ongoing coverage of it, it prompted me to go back and start watching a lot of old movies dealing with an apocalyptic virus, or a virus being released that causes an apocalypse in the United States and around the world, such as the movie Outbreak, I Am Legend, Contagion, Quarantine, The Crazies, 28 Days, so on and so forth. All of these movies are pretty much centered around what's known as the zombie craze or whatever. But at the beginning of this video, you've seen a clip that I used from the movie I Am Legend with the doctor in the movie named Dr. Crippen. She was explaining how she invented a cure for cancer by piggybacking whatever she was using to cure cancer on the measles virus, and using the measles virus as a carrier to move the whatever was the cure for cancer throughout the body. And over 10,000 people were cured, and then after that they mutated and turned into something else. And I used the clip there because in this video I'm going to go on outline, and I'm going to go through the different viruses or the different vaccines that are being invented for this Ebola crisis, and I'm going to show you how it ties in with I Am Legend and Quarantine and The Crazies and Outbreak and hell, even the movie Viva Vendetta. So now here we're on the NBC News page, Ebola virus outbreak. This was published on August 28th, 2014. So this is almost like 2 months ago. Today's what, October 19th. So this is roughly about almost 2 months ago when this thing was put out there on the internet. It says multiple vaccines in the works. So I'm going to play this video clip. Then I'm going to go into breaking down about the different companies making vaccines.
As the Ebola outbreak continues to spread in West Africa, a sobering new prediction today. The World Health Organization said the epidemic could infect 20,000 people and spread to 10 more countries. And that gave more urgency to news today that human trials will now be accelerated on an experimental vaccine to prevent this deadly disease. Our report tonight from NBC's Kate Snow.
In Liberia, it's getting worse by the day. Too few doctors and hospitals, too many patients.
The numbers is going up rapidly, faster than what we thought.
Another worker with the aid group Doctors Without Borders wrote this week, the hardest part is not being able to hold and comfort a dying child while wearing so much protective gear. With more than 1,500 deaths, a new vaccine to prevent Ebola can't come soon enough.
Next week, we're going to be putting this vaccine for the first time in humans.
20 healthy adult volunteers in Maryland will get an experimental vaccine made by GlaxoSmithKline. Researchers hope it will trigger immunity to Ebola. The vaccine will also be tested in Britain and the African nations of Mali and Gambia. It isn't likely to ever be part of a regular course of immunizations the way mumps and polio shots are, but Dr. Fauci says it could protect people in hotspots. What's the hope?
If in fact it is a vaccine that's going to be safe and effective, you'd want to give it to the people in the area who are at risk, but particularly those people who are the healthcare providers.
Is this as fast as you can go? Because as you know, people are dying every single day.
Well, first of all, again, be careful. This is not a treatment of a sick person. This is a prevention of infection. We still don't know if it works. Having said that, we're going extremely quickly.
Human trials of other drugs are being expedited too to fight an epidemic that at the moment seems unstoppable. Kate Snow, NBC News, New York.
Okay, so that was the end of that clip here, and showing you that they're speeding up human trials of these different vaccines. So now what I want to talk about is these different vaccines. So let's read on down here. Here you see a list. You see something called Canada's VSV Ebola virus, Perfectus Biosciences, Crucell is making a Ebola vaccine, and then there's actually a rabies-based vaccine by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, which is the United States government, and Thomas Jefferson University are working on that vaccine. But let's start up here at the top. It says the U.S. government scientists will start testing an experimental vaccine against Ebola in people next week, starting out with 20 healthy adults. The same vaccine made by GlaxoSmithKline in collaboration with the National Institute of Health will be tested in the coming weeks in Britain, Gambia, and Mali. It's one of several Ebola vaccines in the pipeline. Here are some others. Canada's VSV Ebola vaccine. This one's made by Canada's National Microbiology Lab and is publicly funded. It is the vaccine the Canadian government said it would donate to help fight the West African outbreak of Ebola. Iowa-based Newlink Genetics is working to help license and manufacture the vaccine. Experts say it works a little like the rabies vaccine in that it protects both before and after exposure to the virus. It's made using a virus called vesicular stomatitis virus. Now, when you look up what vesicular stomatitis virus is, let's look at that. Vesicular stomatitis virus, often still referred to as VSV, is a virus in the family Rhabdoviridae. The well-known rabies virus belongs to the same family, VSIV. Can infect insects, cattle, horses, pigs. It has particular importance to farmers in certain regions of the world where it can't infect cattle. This is because its clinical presentation is identical to the very important foot and mouth disease virus. But basically, vesicular stomatitis virus is in the family of the rabies virus. Now, like I was saying before, in the movie I Am Legend, there's a clip where he's in the house eating breakfast and he's feeding the dog, and then he's watching TV. And in the scene, the news reporter said the people were behaving like they had rabies.
Emerging viruses. Dr. Neville will be taking a closer look at the ongoing mutations of Dr. Alice Crippen's once hailed miracle cure for cancer. So far, almost 5,000 patients treated with her retrofitted virus have begun exhibiting symptoms resembling the early onset of rabies. 25 patients have already died. Dr. Neville has ordered local hospitals to stockpile antiviral drugs and to begin preliminary quarantine protocols.
It's my birthday.
Today, we are fully confident that Dr. Neville can see us through these
You gonna sing?
days, end quote.
So now, when we go back here to the next virus, or the next company that's making a vaccine. The next company would be Perfectus Biosciences. This Maryland-based company is making a vaccine that is also based on VSV, which is vesicular stomatitis, which is basically rhabdoviridae, which is basically a rabies virus. The Perfectus prototype Vesiculovax vector has demonstrated single-dose protection of monkeys against lethal challenge with Ebola and Marburg viruses, the company says in a statement. Now, this particular company, Perfectus Biosciences, is going to use the same vesicular stomatitis virus, and they're going to also add something to it to deal with Ebola and something called Marburg viruses. Now, if you know anything about the history of Marburg viruses, let me go here. Marburg hemorrhagic fever. Marburg hemorrhagic fever is a rare but severe hemorrhagic fever which affects both humans and non-human primates, meaning it affects humans and affects monkeys. Monkeys are non-human primates.